This rogue surgeon takes lives instead of saving them. We open to the cop hurriedly driving his partner to the hospital. Once there, Dr. Paul turns to the fallen officer. Unfortunately, there really isn't much he can do. Diagnosis: death. The partner feels guilty, but he did all that he could. A nurse calls out to Paul. He needs to work on the shooter now. As he walks off, the officer shouts, "So you're gonna go save that monster now?" Yes, he will. At home, Paul has a look at his broken watch while chatting with his wife, Lucy. Then, they hear an excited screech from their daughter, Jordan, upstairs. Perhaps she has a young boy over. She comes down acting all calm and cool, then bursts with joy. She got accepted to her dream college. They're so proud of her. Later, they attend Jordan's soccer game where one of the parents is acting a little uppity. He starts shouting at the ref and cursing excessively. Paul tells him to calm down and prescribes a chill pill. The man counters, wanting to prescribe his fists. It almost breaks out into a fight, but Lucy steps in, protecting the timid Paul. Afterward, the Kerseys go out for lunch. They're all excited for Jordan to start college. However, Paul's brother, Frank, humorously suggests she picks up some practical martial arts skills to fend off any creepy boys, also known as beta males. She suddenly starts dancing. She chokes Frank gently and he's into it, meaning he admires her unique skills. She's actually been training Krav Maga on a weekly basis. Very cool. Outside the restaurant, Frank asks Paul for $2 to settle debts. In the past, he was convicted of a crime, making employment difficult. As the good brother he is, Paul accepts. Then, the valet comes, and Frank jokes that Paul's the man with all the cash. While just a passing joke for Frank, the valet takes it to heart and inspects Paul and his family. This guy seems like he's got money and a happy life. Time to ruin it. The man, Miguel, pulls up Paul's address in his car and snaps a pic with his phone. Oh, also, he's got his initials tattooed on his arm. A detail to remember. The fan gets ready to go out and celebrate Jordan's birthday later. However, Paul gets a call. He's gotta come into work. They're sad but understand. The ladies cheer themselves up by shopping. Lucy plans to cheer Jordan up with a homemade cake. She needs her iPad first. Jordan heads up to get it, but it's not in its usual spot. Then, Lucy notices one of the windows are open. Her suspicions grow when she notices dirty footsteps in the house. Jordan screams suddenly. The full reality of the situation quickly sets in. 3 creepy masked men have broken in and they take the ladies hostage. The leader knocks, has Lucy direct him to the safe, while Jordan is left with Joe and Fish. Lucy has difficulty opening their safe under pressure, while Jordan gets all kinds of creepy vibes from Fish. His partner tells him to stop goofing around and they begin to argue. Jordan capitalizes on the moment and attacks with a knife. Lucy runs down soon after and throws boiling water and Fish. Emil's gotta cook. In retaliation, the armed men open fire. At the hospital, Paul is alerted of 2 new victims. When he tries to check on them, he's stopped, which reveals its significance. He runs over to Lucy and finds that she's come down with a severe case of not being alive. As far as Jordan, she's in a coma. Paul later meets with some detectives, Kevin Raines and Leonore Jackson, who launch an investigation into Lucy's murder. Come on, man. Paul attends Lucy's funeral with her family. After the service, Paul rides with Lucy's father, who suddenly stops and hops out of the car. He noticed some poachers in the area and they clapped his deer. Lucy's father grabs his rifle and shoots after the men, but they get away. Paul is shook. The gun-wielding alpha male argues that sometimes you need to take the law into your own hands to protect what's yours. In the aftermath of all this, Paul is having trouble sleeping, so he goes to therapy. She assists him in dealing with his trauma and provides tips for better sleep. No minute movies before bed. He knows recovery is a process but is unsure of the final goal. His wife is gone, his daughter is comatose, and he feels like he failed. He failed to protect them in their time of need. Paul later contacts the police about his case. He arrives just as Kevin is getting water and gets buzzed in without an appointment. Kevin has a wall full of sticky notes, open cases left unanswered for months. Despite this, Kevin assures Paul his case is different since it wasn't gang-related. As you must know, gangs live by the ancient Chinese proverb, snitches get stitches. Kevin implores Paul to have faith and wait, but this just makes Paul feel even more powerless. At night, he goes for a walk and sees 2 thugs harassing a woman. He intervenes, preventing the men from harming her, but they turn their attention to him instead. They beat him up pretty badly before leaving him lying on the street. During his recovery, Paul sees a TV ad for a gun store and becomes interested in buying a weapon. He visits the store where Bethany explains the process of obtaining a gun in America. As long as you're alive, you're good to go. Though, he takes note of all the security cameras and the fact that the gun and its bullets will be traceable back to him, and decides against buying one. Another day at the hospital, another gunshot wound. But this time the thug drops a Glock. Paul hides it under the bed. He somehow manages to bring it home undetected and proceeds to learn how it works. I think you just pulled the trigger, dummy. We proceed with a training montage overlaid with his day job. By day, he saves lives. By night, he prepares to take them. He discovers Jordan's condition has worsened one night. She's having seizures now. As a precaution, she's been strapped to the bed. Paul notes the irony. His daughter is essentially handcuffed while the animals that did this to her are free, living their best lives. It's time to act up. Paul dons a hoodie and heads out, looking for trouble. He witnesses a carjacking where 2 thugs assault a man and take his girlfriend in their car. Paul shouts out and they immediately respond with bullets. He shoots at the car, making it crash. Then the kickback of the gun slide cuts his hand. All the meanwhile, someone is recording him. This is sure to be a viral hit. One of the carjackers stumbles out of the car and starts firing randomly. Paul waits and then takes the perfect shot. He walks over, looms over him, and puts him down for good. Paul walks to the car to check on the driver. He's fine, just leaving. The detectives arrive hours later. After talking to the witness who filmed the incident, they discovered the video had gone viral. Paul is pleased with his work when he sees it at home. Paul listens to the radio while driving to work the next day. They're all talking about his heroic vigilante ways. They even dub him the Grim Reaper. Paul treats a boy with a gunshot wound at work. He tells Paul that this so-called ice cream man did this to him because he didn't want to sell, and he ain't talking about delicious gold treats. Paul verifies the boy's address and reassures him everything will be fine. True to his word, Paul pulls up to the turf while Chief Keef is bopping in the background. Bang bang. Paul finds the street name and then goes to find the ice cream man. He introduces himself as his last customer, before dumping his load all over the man's chest. The reaction following this is mixed. Some think vigilantes are cringe while others think it's based. Kevin and his partner spot some kids reenacting the scene upon arrival. Kevin observes the boy shooting with his left hand. Interesting. He reviews the Reaper's footage and finds that the mystery man is indeed left-handed. Paul recognizes Miguel from his tattoo when he's brought in as another gunshot victim at work. While Paul uses a defibrillator on him, he notices a rather familiar watch. It's his. What time is it? Snooping time. Paul takes Miguel's phone from the ambulance and unlocks it with his thumb. Inside, he discovers his address photo on the phone. He also goes through his contacts and finds that all the stolen items from the safe are being sold at a pawn shop. So Paul pays a visit and speaks to the owner, Ponytail. He name-drops Miguel, leading Ponytail to get suspicious. As he circles around Paul, he notices that his hoodie has a morgue tag on it. Uh-oh. Ponytail texts Fish to inform him about the doctor's unexpected visit. Paul asks him if he's got any watches. Ponytail says yes. He goes to reach for an oddly gun-shaped one. Then Paul attacks, stabbing his hand. He forces him to his belongings. He takes Paul to the back to find his stuff, but Fish arrives and tries to shoot Paul. But he pops the Ponytail instead. Certified brow moment. Paul and Fish exchange gunfire, but then Paul's gun jams. Fortunately, Fish slips on some water and Paul feels a sudden musical inspiration. Yeah, it even struck a chord with Fish. Fish tries to escape, but Paul tags his leg just before he reaches freedom. He's likely frustrated that the game's hitboxes are oversized. Fish tries to weasel his way out of Paul's wrath by giving up Joe, who he reveals works at a local auto shop. Suddenly, Fish attacks. Paul is stunned and accidentally fires a shot off. The bullet hits a bowling ball, causing it to begin rolling rapidly. Fish approaches, but fate intervenes and he gets bonked. Beautiful. Paul is sure to collect the hard drives before fleeing the scenes. He watches a tutorial at home on destroying data. This was before YouTube removed dislikes, so he's certain it's a good tutorial. After the media frenzy continues. Now, there's even memes of the Reaper. Nice meme. Paul is visited by detectives at work. The case has had a breakthrough. A man named Fish got fried and they found the pawn shop with all his stuff. Of course, he already knows all this, but acts surprised anyway. You'd think Kevin could spot when someone has a dark alter ego by now, right? 'Cause Breaking Bad. After, Paul goes to the garage where Joe works. Joe rudely tells Paul he's closed, so Paul grabs a wrench and hits his off button. Paul places Joe under the car, which is held up by a crowbar. Using his surgical expertise, he gets Joe to reveal answers. Knox is revealed as the mastermind behind everything, but he is not easily found. Apparently, he finds you. With all the information he needs, Paul delivers a sick one-liner. That was off the chain, yo. he says before yanking the chain and condemning Joe to a car coffin. Meanwhile, the detectives pay Frank a visit. They think he's the Reaper. He's left-handed, has motive, and not such a clean record. Paul is hanging out with Jordan. As usual, she's not very talkative. He receives a text. An unknown number is threatening to reveal the truth about him. The phone rings. It's Knox. He invites Paul to meet him at a club, but not so they can dance. Frank, worried about his brother Paul, checks in but finds him not at home. Frank enters and finds Paul's basement in disarray. He spots a stash of bullets and quickly realizes what's really going on. Paul arrives at the club and is instructed to meet in the bathroom. Inside, he calls the phone and takes aim. He unloads while everyone else runs away in fear. The stall opens. It's empty. Suddenly, Knox appears from behind, firing away. Protected by a human shield, Paul hides and avoids shooting to protect the innocent. Using his 200 IQ, he spots an electrical box and shoots it out. In the cover of darkness, Paul flees. In the aftermath, Knox ends up in the hospital and the detectives arrive to question him. He says he knows who the shooter was. Before he reveals the name, we come back to Paul, dealing with his own injuries. With sheer will, he patches up his wound. The detectives entered Paul's office, finding it empty. Paul is in fact headed towards his basement where he runs into Frank. The pair have a heart-to-heart. Of course, Frank wants him to put an end to it all and focus on doing what's best for Jordan. Then the police arrived. Frank opens the door and creates an alibi for Paul. They have no choice but to leave. The brothers chat in the basement until Paul gets a call. Jordan woke up. Finally. Paul rushes over and unfortunately has to break the news about her mother. Jordan is healthy and will be able to come home soon. A week later, the pair head to the elevator. Knox enters just as the door closes. He knows exactly who they are, but Paul doesn't. He never saw his face. He chats with Jordan and calls Paul by name as they depart. Uh-oh. Immediately after, Paul visits Bethany to fulfill his American freedoms. After Jordan comes home, Knox arrives with 2 goons. Jordan hides in the closet as Paul deals with them. He pops the 2 armed goons using his incredible stealth skills. But Knox is nowhere to be found. Paul checks the basement, then gets surprise attacked. Knox enjoys the moment. Jordan panics. She emerges from hiding and runs over. Knox gets distracted and Paul seizes the moment. He opens a nifty compartment under a table to pull out a huge gun and pump Knox full of lead. After the detectives arrive on the scene, Kevin questions Paul about the incident and the guns. Although Paul's story is clearly suspicious, Kevin decides to make up a story that Knox returned because he thought Jordan would identify him. Later on, Paul drops Jordan off at college. On his way out, he notices a man who just committed a robbery. He calls to the man and pretends to shoot him with his finger. Moral of the story: you can save lives by taking them.